if you've ever watched a movie like Tenet, where characters aren't just jumping through time, they're literally reversing it, going backward through events.
Oh, yeah. It's a real mind bender. Makes you think.
Totally. And you can't help but wonder, is that purely Hollywood fantasy? Or, I mean, is there any kind of theoretical basis for messing with time's arrow like that, as if it's, a physical force?
Well, it certainly sounds like pure science fiction, doesn't it? But that core idea, time as a physical thing, something you could maybe reflect or enhance or even reverse, that's actually the exact foundation for one of the most classified and controversial Soviet projects ever attempted.
Ah, okay. So that's where we're heading today.
Exactly. Today we're doing a deep dive into the real-world story, or at least the claims, surrounding the time mirror, the Zirkalo Koziriva, and the really radical, almost unbelievable theory behind it, causality mechanics.
Right, that's our mission then. We want to unpack the whole context of this, well, frankly, bizarre experiment up in the Arctic back in the 90s, and the super contentious non-Newtonian science that supposedly underpinned it all.
And the truly strange stuff they claimed happened. We're talking statistically impossible precognition, claims of seeing the future, even UFO sightings.
It sounds like a collision between cosmology and, well, the sixth sense. Let's get into it.
Okay.
So our journey kicks off in one of the most isolated, desolate places imaginable, Dixon. It's this tiny settlement deep inside the Arctic Circle.
We're talking seriously remote, average temperature -11°C, and it's a closed administrative territory. You need military clearance just to get in.
Not exactly a tourist hotspot then, and this was the stage for this highly secret project, Project Jiglalizer, happened between 1990 and 1992.
Right on the cusp of the Soviet Union collapsing, yeah. And look, this wasn't some small side project. The Soviet scientists involved were really pushing the boat out, exploring the absolute limits of human perception, what we might call the paranormal.
And they roped in a lot of people.
Thousands, up to 5,000 global volunteers, apparently, for this massive experiment focused squarely on ESP extrasensory perception.
Wow. Okay, so huge scale. And crucially, this wasn't happening in a vacuum, right? The U.S. knew about it.
Oh, absolutely. The CIA was definitely monitoring it. Their intel reports from the time specifically mentioned the Soviets studying ESP and psychokinesis, trying to drag these fringe ideas into, well, maybe not mainstream, but at least testable physics.
And the heart of this whole massive global effort was this surprisingly simple device, the time mirror.
It sounds almost primitive, really. The mirror itself was just a large aluminum plate, polished very brightly, they say, and then bent into a spiral shape, about 1.5 turns.
It's like a big curl of metal.
Pretty much. And inside that spiral, they just put a seat for the person, the subject. Honestly, it probably looked more like some kind of abstract sculpture than high-tech device.
Right, an aluminum spiral in the freezing Arctic. Definitely low-tech materials for such a high-stakes goal. What exactly were they hoping this spiral mirror would do?
Well, they had two primary massive objectives. The first one ties right back to our Tenet discussion, time reflection.
Okay.
The theory, Kozyrev's theory, suggested that this specific spiral shape could somehow warp or focus. Well, what they called reverse time inside the chamber.
Reverse time, so the person sitting there could potentially see backwards.
Or forwards.
See the past, or maybe even glimpse the future. That was the hope. Similar to the Tenet idea, but, through reflection rather than inversion.
Okay, that's goal number one. What was the second?
Instantaneous communication. They believe the mirror's shape could amplify the subject's consciousness, their so-called sixth sense, to enable actual long-distance telepathy, sending thoughts, basically, across continents with zero delay.
Mind-to-mind transfer, instantly. So how did they test that?
That led to the big global ESP test. The setup was, a subject sits inside the mirror, focuses really hard on one of 5 specific symbols, and tries to mentally broadcast it.
And thousands of people around the world tried to guess. Simultaneously, yeah. Thousands of receivers dotted across the globe would try to tune in and guess which of the 5 symbols was being sent.
And the results they reported, they were pretty out there, weren't they?
According to the experimenter's own records, the numbers were, well, staggering. In the big 1991 global run, the receivers worldwide reported a hit rate of 75%.
75%.
But that's statistically enormous, right? Way beyond just random guessing with 5 options.
Oh, massively significant. But apparently in their more tightly controlled tests, especially in places where the Earth's magnetic field was naturally weaker, the hit rate supposedly jumped to over 95%.
Hold on. 95% accuracy in telepathy. I mean, even if we just take that as their internal claim, that's an absolutely extraordinary number. How do they even begin to explain that?
Ah, well, that's where it gets even weirder. The truly baffling results weren't just the accuracy, it was the timing.
The timing. How so?
Many of the receivers didn't just guess the symbol correctly when it was broadcast. They reported knowing the symbol hours, or even days,
Mm.
before the symbol was actually chosen and sent from Dixon.
Wait, before. So
Yeah.
pre-reception, precognition.
Exactly. It wasn't just mind to mind anymore. This suggested they were somehow tapping into information before it officially happened, like accessing future data.
That's about as close to the tenet reversal idea as you could get in a real-world claim, isn't it? Accessing information that's already there but hasn't happened yet in linear time.
Precisely. And the strangeness wasn't just limited to the data. Participants reported physical effects too.
Hmm.
Just approaching the aluminum mirror apparently caused intense physiological discomfort, like a deep, unexplainable dread.
Just from the object itself.
That's what they reported.
Mhm.
And subjects who actually sat inside described classic visionary experiences, out-of-body sensations, vivid flashes of their own past, even glimpses of future events playing out.
Okay, this is piling up. Out of body, seeing the past, seeing the future, and then there are the UFOs.
Right. To top it all off, staff working at the lab and even local residents in Dixon apparently documented multiple sightings of glowing, unidentified flying objects, specifically described as disks and spheres hovering near the facility during the main experimental periods.
Wow. So,
Yeah,
high weirdness is definitely the term.
it really is. But, this is crucial for you listening, we have to stress this. While all these incredible results are documented in the internal project records, in books written by those involved, they completely lack independent, external, third-party scientific verification.
Absolutely critical point. Okay, so we have this, frankly, wild experiment with these extraordinary unverified claims. But to get why the Soviets were pouring resources into an aluminum spiral in the Arctic, we need to dig into the theory behind it all. And that means talking about the man himself, Nikolai Kozyrev, his life, his ideas, and his tragedy.
Yeah, Nikolai Kozyrev, born 1908, died 1983. By all accounts, a major figure in Soviet astronomy and physics. I mean, they named a crater on the moon and a minor planet after him. He wasn't some fringe character initially.
He was brilliant from the start, wasn't he? Publishing papers on sunspots at 17.
Exactly, a real prodigy.
Hmm.
And his early research was focused on a huge question. Why do stars shine for so long? Billions of years. He studied stellar structure, and way before nuclear fusion was understood, he theorized that stars must have some unknown massive energy source fueling them, something beyond just chemical reactions or gravity.
So he was essentially predicting something like fusion energy decades ahead of time.
In effect, yes. But then his life took a brutal turn. In 1936, right in the middle of Stalin's purges, Kozyrev was arrested.
Why? What was the charge?
Essentially for being an intellectual with independent thought. That was dangerous back then.
Yeah.
He ended up spending 10 years, a full decade, in the Gulag labor camps. Horrific conditions.
10 years. Just completely cut off.
Utterly isolated. Think about it. While the rest of the scientific world was discovering and confirming nuclear fusion as the power source of stars, Kozyrev was in prison, totally unaware of these developments. And it was during that isolation that he developed his own entirely different, even more radical theory to explain everything. Causality mechanics, or Kozyrev mechanics.
And this whole theory hinges on one really big revolutionary idea, right? Time flow.
That's the absolute core of it. Here's where it gets really mind-bending. For Kozyrev, time wasn't just, a concept we use to measure duration, like seconds or years. He proposed that time is a physical thing, an actual form of energy.
Time is energy. How does that even work?
He argued it's the energy that provides the actual push or momentum needed to drive any event from its cause to its effect. It's the engine of change itself.
Okay. And this time flow energy, it had some pretty wild properties, according to him.
Two absolutely radical properties. First, he said it permeates everything, the entire universe, it's everywhere. Second, and this is the one that really breaks the mold of classical physics, its speed is theoretically instantaneous.
Instantaneous. Faster than light. Doesn't that shatter Einstein's theories? Relativity.
Kozyrev basically argued that relativity was maybe incomplete. He believed this instantaneous transmission of time flow could explain things that standard physics really struggles with, like quantum entanglement, that spooky action at a distance where two particles seem linked, influencing each other instantly, no matter how far apart they are.
So for Kozyrev, they aren't communicating across space faster than light.
Exactly. In his view, they're both just instantly reacting to changes in this universal instantaneous time flow that they're both immersed in.
Okay, so it's not just quantum weirdness. Kozyrev apparently used this time flow idea to tackle really big cosmological puzzles, too. You mentioned stars earlier.
Right. He stuck to his guns even after fusion was accepted. He actually calculated that fusion alone still wasn't enough energy to keep a star like our sun burning brightly for billions upon billions of years.
So where did the extra energy come from in his model?
From time flow. His idea was that stars are constantly absorbing huge amounts of this time flow energy from the space around them, like giant cosmic sponges soaking up time energy. That constant absorption, he argued, is what truly allows them to maintain their output for such incredibly long periods they're continuously recharging.
Absorbing time. Wow, okay, this idea of absorption, does that connect to entropy? The second law of thermodynamics, the idea that everything in the universe naturally runs down, becomes more disordered.
Precisely. That's maybe the most profound part of his theory. The second law says the universe tends towards chaos, disorder, eventual heat death. Kozyrev proposed that time flow is the universe's built-in counterforce to that.
An anti-entropy force.
Exactly. He said time flow carries negative entropy. It actively works against a universal trend towards decay and dissolution. It's the force that creates and maintains order, stability, structure, like the stable existence of stars, planets, galaxies.
Negative entropy. Can you put that in simpler terms? So if the universe wants to fall apart, time flow is like the cosmic glue holding things together, making complex structures possible.
That's a great way to think about it. It's the fundamental organizing principle. It literally creates order from chaos. And Kozyrev took this even further. He believed this anti-gap property of time flow is what ultimately allows for the emergence of complexity itself. Stable molecules, intricate planetary systems, and eventually, life.
Life itself.
He stated quite clearly that life necessarily arises because of this constant anti-chaos energy provided by time flow. Life is the ultimate expression of order overcoming chaos.
So after he got out of the Gulag, Kozyrev spent the rest of his life trying to find observational proof for this time flow, right?
He did, and he made some, let's say, highly controversial claims based on his astronomical observations.
Such as?
Well, one famous one involved distant stars. He claimed that when he pointed his telescope at a star, say 10,000 light-years away, he wasn't just getting the 10,000-year-old light. He believed he was also receiving instantaneous information from that star right now via time flow, mixed into the telescope's signal noise that other astronomers usually filter out.
Instant data from 10,000 light-years away. How?
Through the instantaneous time flow, he argued. He also famously captured data on something called the lunar transient phenomenon, basically, a brief flash of light on a dark part of the moon, often dismissed as just folklore or instrument errors.
The moon blink, I've heard of that. He got actual data.
In 1958, yes, he got a spectrographic reading. His analysis suggested it was a cloud of hot, carbon-containing gas, like volcanic activity.
But isn't the moon supposed to be geologically dead?
According to standard models, mostly yes. But Kozyrev explained it using time flow. He theorized the moon was absorbing enough time energy from its surroundings to occasionally trigger internal geological activity, these localized bursts of energy.
Huh. And he also looked at earthquakes, right? Connection between Earth and moon.
He did. He analyzed records of over 630 major earthquakes, magnitude 6.5 and up, between 1904 and 1967. And he claimed to find a striking one-to-one correlation.
Which was?
A major quake on Earth was often followed, about 2 days later, by a significant moonquake. And vice versa, a big moonquake often preceded a big earthquake here by about 2 days.
And he didn't think it was just gravity or tidal forces?
No, he attributed it directly to time energy. A major quake releases a burst of this energy, which flows instantaneously to the other body, gets absorbed, and potentially triggers a reciprocal event there a bit later, a kind of celestial energy exchange.
Okay, so Kozyrev's theory is the bedrock. How does all this instantaneous energy, anti-chaos, time absorption loop back to the aluminum spiral in Dixon, and that claimed 95% telepathy success rate?
It brings us right back to consciousness. The implication of Kozyrev's theory is profound here.
How so?
Well, if life, and by extension consciousness, arises because of time flow's ordering anti-entropic properties, then the human mind should be incredibly, perhaps uniquely sensitive to this time flow network.
Our thoughts could actually interact with it, create ripples in this instantaneous field.
That's the idea. And Kozyrev's followers took it a step further. They proposed that all information in the universe, everything that ever was, is or could be exists within this universal time flow network.
Like a cosmic database.
Sort of, but more dynamic. The human brain, they suggested, isn't just a processor of internal data. It has the potential to directly access this universal network, to tap into what some traditions call the Akashic records.
The Akashic records, but not like a static library.
No, more like an interactive, real-time information field, a place you could potentially visit or exchange information with instantly.
And that was the ultimate rationale for the time mirror experiment.
Exactly. The specific spiral shape of the aluminum mirror was hypothesized to act like a focusing lens, to amplify the subject's innate ability to connect with and interact with the time flow network.
So it boosted their sensitivity.
That was the theory. Boosting sensitivity allowed them not only to broadcast a thought instantly across the globe to receptive minds, but also, and this is key for the precognition claims, to pull information from the network about events that hadn't happened yet in linear time.
So precognition wasn't seeing the future, it was just downloading future data points from the instantaneous network.
That's essentially the cozy Revian explanation for it, yes.
Wow. Okay. So we've gone from this simple, albeit highly classified, aluminum spiral in the Arctic through the incredible story of a Soviet scientist developing radical ideas in total isolation to this grand unifying theory of time itself as an instantaneous energy source, one that potentially links ESP, quantum physics, even the structure of the cosmos.
It really highlights the power of a single, truly radical idea, doesn't it? Kozyrev's causality mechanics offered potential explanations, whether you accept them or not, for phenomena that mainstream physics often just dismisses as impossible or anomalous. Instant communication, the universe fighting entropy, accurate precognition.
It tries to tie it all together. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative thought, doesn't it? If time really is this instantaneous, universal energy field, and if our own consciousness is fundamentally sensitive to it, well, what might be the actual limit of our collective ability to communicate, to share knowledge instantly? Maybe the only thing holding us back isn't technology or distance, but just finding the right kind of mirror, the right focus to tune into that flow. What if instantaneous global connection is already possible, just waiting for us to learn how to access it properly?